The OKC Thunder just dominated the game 7, and they are on their way to the conference finals. Will they be ready for the moment was the main question. Will they be ready for the moment? We talked about Nikola Jokic going into his 7th game 7. They just put away a team last series. The Clippers team that is well coached and well orchestrated team dominated them in a game 7. Jamal Murray in his 6th game 7. Will the OKC Thunder be ready, or will that youth play a part? One of the youngest teams of basketball, the youngest team left in the playoffs. Will they be ready? The answer is yes. Ooh, the answer was yes. And I don't want to act like things are all said and done. They got a very well rested and a very good Minnesota Timberwolves team just waiting until game number 1. But this game feels like a very important moment in this OKC Thunder's core, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Early in this game, it did not look like OKC was ready for the moment. They were passing up really, really good looks for way worse looks. And the Denver Nuggets came out very calm, very collected, and they looked like they were going to win. They were up by double digits very early on in this game. I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. The Denver Nuggets always find a way to win. And then something happened. And I don't want to attribute this entire win or this entire loss on this one moment. But to start the second quarter, Adelman decided to run a lineup that had no Jamal Murray and no Nikola Jokic. And that lineup played a total of maybe a minute and 30 seconds. But in that a minute and 30 seconds, we saw the Thunder, who had closed out the first quarter on like a 4-0 or 6-0 run, turn that run into like a 14-0 run. And just like that, not only was this a close game, the OKC Thunder had the lead. And this was something I mentioned before the playoffs even started. We're talking about a month before Mike Malone was even fired, that they were still running lineups. And let me see if I can find the tweet. They were still running lineups without Jamal and without Nikola Jokic. This is a team that does not have a ton of depth. Actually, for how good they've been, and again, they just took a 68-win team, one of the best net-rated teams, one of the best defensive teams of all time regular season-wise to a Game 7. But with all of that considered, they still don't have the adequate depth to be able to hold their own if Nikola Jokic is not on the court, but definitely if Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray off the court. Yeah, I tweeted this March 2nd, 2025. Reminder that the Nuggets have a negative 23 net rating in lineups without Jamal Murray or Jokic. I don't know why Malone puts these type of lineups out there. That minus 23, that was 2 months ago at this point. That minus 23 is now a minus 34, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know how in a game 7 you run that lineup, and we're talking about a minute and a half stretch, just a minute and a half, really changed the dynamic of the team on this game, because the crowd really got into it during this run, and they never really looked back. I thought Adelman, for what it was worth, him having 3 regular season games under his belt, to come in and be able to take this dominant OKC Thunder team to 7 is amazing, and he deserves to get like another contract or be not just an interim head coach, but get a real contract, because I thought he was pretty damn phenomenal. But that one stretch mattered a lot. They also were going into this where one of their most impactful players, Mr. Nugget himself, Aaron Gordon, was playing basketball with one leg. Well, basically, he was going through them injuries, and they said that he would need a month. He would need a month to recover. And I'm thinking about it like, okay, even if Aaron Gordon is not the best version of himself, they still have the best player in the world, and they could still win this game. And I'm thinking about, even if they did win this game, what does that mean for the next series? We don't have to really worry about that. But it is very trash from the Nuggets' perspective that Aaron Gordon is on one leg, again, just on one leg, and somehow he is still the 3rd best player on the court for them. That don't even make no sense. And Christian Brown started this game so very well that I'm like, okay, this is going to be the Christian Brown game in the game 7. He's going to light it up. He ended up with 19. Nikola Jokic ended up with 29 and 7. The defense was just smothering him. There's no way Nikola Jokic should end the game with just 9 shot attempts. And he ended up with 21 free throws. So those kind of, not 21, I'm sorry, 11 free throws. So that's kind of offset his overall field goal attempts, because realistically, he's maybe took 14 field goals, and then he got fouled, so those don't count. But like Jamal Murray gave us a stinker. Michael Porter Jr., man, this was rough. Other than him having game number 1 where he was pretty damn good. Was that last series? I'm starting to mix things up. That shoulder injury, they mentioned that if it wasn't for it being in the playoffs, he would be sidelined for a few weeks himself. So it's like, again, a war of attrition. 2 of our starters are dealing with ailing injuries, and I'm so surprised that Aaron Gordon even gave it a chance. And he wasn't awful today, but obviously he wasn't the guy that they normally would have in a situation like this. Also during this stretch, when we're talking about when the Nuggets went without Jokic and Jamal Murray, they put in Game 6 savior, Julian Strawther. And it just looked really bad. It was a lineup with Strother, Brody, and Peyton Watson. And I just don't know how you play that lineup in a game 7. Now, it goes so much deeper than that one stint, but that is the one thing that I'll remember the most from the Denver Nuggets side of things of today. But let's switch it over to the OKC Thunder because this is a huge win for this core. Game 6, actually not just game 6, this entire series outside of that one game where J-Dub had 30, he had shot the ball so poorly. It was like 33% from the field, 24% from 3. You know, the defense was always good. Some of the playmaking in game number 6 was pretty damn dope. But they just needed him to step up. And I thought that today he put together an amazing game. It don't matter what happened in those 5 other games where he was trash in this series, because in this game 7, back against the wall, sure, we'll say back against the wall, he came through. But the real MVP it is, and not actual MVP, is Shai's probably the MVP. I don't know how the hell we're in the conference finals and we don't know who the actual MVP is. Regardless, the real MVP of tonight is Alex Caruso. Boy, oh boy. His final stat line don't tell. This is one of the most impactful 26 minutes I've ever seen. And I watched Alex Caruso for 2.5 years, 3 years here in Chicago. 26 minutes, 11 points, 3 assists, 3 steals. I swear to God, they don't even come close to tell you the impact that this man had on today's game. And, you know, you go back and look at the trade video. I'm like, OKC fans, you're going to love Alex Caruso because after watching him for years, there was legit game stretches where when he played with the Bulls, he looked like the only player that cared. And you can tell that his mindset was, I'm going to fly around, I'm not going to be afraid, and I am going to impact this game one way or another. I think their first 3-pointer that they made in this game was Alex Caruso hitting a 3-point shot, and that got things rolling a little bit on their side of the ball. I want to clump him and Cason Wallace together because Cason Wallace shot 30% from the field, but again, that don't tell the story of what Cason Wallace provided. And for Cason Wallace to be 22 years old and to be this damn impactful this early, it's just amazing that he is a part of this core, man. I can't express it enough. He caught the body on Nikola Jokic. You'll see that forever. But they are flying around. And I made the tweet, practice your entry passes, kids. Because the Denver Nuggets ended up this game with 22 turnovers. And I cannot wait until the footage is out there on NBA.com where I can watch every single one of these turnovers again. But so many of them are them just trying to pass the ball to Nikola Jokic and them not being able to do that. Not having enough zip, lofting it up. And I thought that RJ and Doris Burke did an amazing job breaking down one play specifically where Jamal Murray is sitting in like the coffin corner close to the half court line, 2 guys guarding him, and they mentioned it like there's only one guy he can pass the ball to right now. His only outlet from this situation is Nikola Jokic. And guess what? I don't remember if it was Caruso or it was Cason. They just come in and rip the ball through and take it for a fast break layup / dunk. That happened time and time again. And some of the Jokic turnovers were just him also being pretty damn lazy with the ball. It had got to the point where they were up by like 20 or down by like 27 or so. Jokic turned the ball over, and like one of them plays that was like a bang, it could have been a foul, it could have not been a foul. And Nikola Jokic didn't even try to talk to the referees. Like he had accepted the fate that this is the way this team is going to defend, and we don't really have an answer for it. This is another one of the performances that you say, hey man, the OKC Thunder in this regular season, relative to their competition, was the best defensive team in the history of this sport. You saw that today. Completely flying around. And I thought that at one point they had almost sold some of this game because for Aaron Gordon to be out there again with one leg and them not put him in every single action, I was like, I don't know what the hell is going on. Eventually they start to pick it up and start to make him work a little bit more. But they got it done. And now you think about it, like I saw a lot of clips of people talking about like, okay, OKC might lose this game 7, and then what does that mean for this core, right? When you think about them having, 17 first-round picks and them having all of these young guys between Dub, between Chet, between Wiggs, between Cason, between Ousmane Dieng, between Isaiah Joe, I could keep going, AJ Mitchell, like Dylan Jones. If they lose this game 7, do they try to ramp up that timeline? And now you ain't got to think about it. I mean, maybe you think about it again in the conference finals if Minnesota ends up winning, but you don't think about that anymore because this was the most amount of adversity this team has ever faced with this core. Last year we questioned, will Dub be ready? Will they add some three-point shooting? Will they be able to rebound with the best of them? Can they guard on Nikola Jokic in the series? So far, they've answered those questions. Now, again, Dub has another series where they're going to need him to be a great number 2 again. But a lot of those conversations die down as we get ready for this conference finals. And I wonder if they win 8 more games in this postseason. Will we look back on this throughout this OKC run, like if they keep this core together for the next 10 years or 9, however how long, if we think about this game as like, this is where they figured it out. This is who they found out exactly who they were. Because this team was so good in the regular season, 68-win team, they didn't play a ton of clutch performances. They didn't play a lot of high leverage games. They didn't play a lot of through a lot of adversity. They just dominated so much that they didn't have to do anything but have really cool post-game interviews. You know what I'm saying? So they went into a game 6 and lost. And they came out in game 7 against a team with championship DNA, granted a beat-up ass team with championship DNA, and spanked that ass. What did they learn? Maybe a lot. Maybe as fans, we think too much about this type of stuff. But that's what I was doing watching this game when I'm watching Dub legitimately have an amazing, amazing performance. You know how easy it is to get into your own head after shooting 33% from the field through 6 games, 24% from the 3? And he said, no, I don't really care about that. I can do this. And he did. And they are now 8 wins away from a championship. Minnesota's a really fucking good team, though. And they're going to be rested. And I can't wait to dive into their games. I might do that tonight because the game just ended at 5 o'clock. What am I supposed to do for the rest of the night? Yeah, man, this is an amazing, amazing series. I think it's going to go down as one of my top 5 to 10 series I've ever watched in my life. It's going to go down there because we got buzzer beater dunks. We got takeovers from the best player in the world. We got all-time performances from role players like a Julian Strother game. So, yeah, this series was the best series of the playoffs so far. Hopefully the conference finals gives us some run for our money and everything. But the OKC Thunder head into the conference finals. And that shouldn't be a surprise because they won 68 games and they were that good. But a lot of people still question this team. I had a conversation, I think I mentioned this on Small Ball a few months ago. I had a conversation with an NBA player not to be named. But he was saying that, like, we respect OKC, but nobody in the league looks at them as a team that almost won 70. Nobody's like, ooh, let's avoid the OKC Thunder because we believe we can beat them. And that's coming from an NBA player. I told him I think he might be a little crazy, but he also is an NBA player and he needs the type of confidence. Because OKC's that good. And if they're that good, especially if J-Dub is playing like this. Because the defense is going to travel. It always has. Like, of course, no team is going to hold a team to under 100 every single game, but that team is that nice defensively. And if they can hit some jump shots, or J-Dub can do this thing, or they have some random role player electricity like Caruso or Queso Wallace, I just think this is like the best team. And I didn't even mention Shea having 35 in a game 7. I think that's good. Like, that might be like the 6th thing you want to say about this series or this game specifically. He was phenomenal tonight. But I swear, like, you think about Dub, you think about Caruso, you think about Wallace, you think about the bad coaching decision for that one stretch. You're like, oh, yeah, Shea did have 35, didn't he? Yeah, he did have 35 on 62% shooting, 78 or 76% true shooting. Amazing game. 0 turnovers. Wow. Okay, that's a lot. I can't wait to get into watching this footage. It seems like they had an overtime game. This was right before All-Star break, if I'm not mistaken. I like half remember watching this when I was in San Francisco waiting for the All-Star weekend to start. And this was like no Rudy Gobert. So I try to do the same thing. I know I'm rambling right now, but who cares? I try to do the same thing with the Knicks versus Pacers series. And I'm looking at these games like, well, Siakam didn't play this game. OG didn't play this game. How much can I really watch? I guess I can watch schematically what they're going to do. But so many teams have opted to just do different things in the postseason versus the regular season. Maybe I shouldn't watch any film at all. I don't know. Shout out to the Thunder, man. Game 7. And I truly do want to say this was an amazing run from the Denver Nuggets. All things considered. Fire your coaches, a couple games left. Fire your general manager. You know, your star point guard is dealing with some type of sickness. Your star, Mr. Nugget, is dealing with one leg being gone. And then your star shooter, if you want to call him that, has like a football pad on the shoulder, and you still took the best team in the league to 7. Like there's some silver linings here. It's hard to play silver linings when you have won a championship before, but I respect this series a lot from the Denver Nuggets perspective.